I'm with Brian McGovern from Mitratech. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing great. Really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
This is not your first Legal Week, is it?
It is not, no. I was thinking about that today. We missed a couple with COVID, I guess, but I think this is 8 or 9 for me.
Okay.
Over 12 years.
Okay, so this is number 20 for me.
Oh, wow, you're way ahead of me.
Well, it's funny because in 2004, when I first came in, it was all e-discovery, and it was all relatively new. It feels like today is all AI, and it's all brand new, as if we never solved anything over the last 20 years.
Yeah, you can't walk around and miss an AI sign or somebody wanted to tell you about AI, that's for sure.
So tell us a little bit about your role at Mitratech and how long you've been there.
Sure. Brian McGovern, the Executive Director for Corporate Legal and Claims at Mitratech. I've been there about 6 years.
Okay.
Most fun part of my job is getting to meet with some of the largest and most innovative legal departments in the world and talk to them about what they're doing with technology and analytics and this year, AI, and getting their thoughts and where they're going to drive their business and what their goals are, and then helping them align best practices from their peers, best practices in technology, and how to think about these really difficult problems they're all trying to solve.
So when you say data analytics and you say Mitratech, I think everybody kind of gets that. Like, what's under the hood of that the market might not know?
Yeah, the data analytics is a very layered thing. Mm-hmm. So you talk to people beginning in legal analytics, and they'll be talk to you, and you could see it in presentations this week. Even they'll show you graphs of how many matters they have open or what their legal spend is, and that's a good place to start. If you don't have those things, for sure, let's start there. But then as you get more sophisticated, you're going to start saying, how complex are our matters, and where are they focused, and where do they have more risk? And as you become more sophisticated, you're going to say, what law firms am I using, and how am I getting the right value, and how do I know I'm getting the right outcomes for that? And should I be using in-house or out-house? And you're using, or outside counsel, and you're using analytics to inform those decisions, and you're able to understand case complexity and early case decisions, all of those things. So analytics really is it's a spectrum of where people are. And when I talk with people about it, it doesn't matter where you are, it matters what you're doing next. What is your company's strategy? What are the processes you need to deliver that strategy? And then what are the analytics you're going to do to measure the process to deliver the strategy?
What can you tell clients today that you couldn't tell them 5 years ago? The data's always been there. It hasn't been collected, it hasn't been visible, it hasn't been available, so to speak. What can you share with your clients today that you couldn't even do 3 years ago?
Oh, the availability of visualization tools, big difference.
There you go.
And also the complexity of using these tools. If you go back a few years ago, you had to be writing SQL queries and things like that. All of that's changed now. You're dragging in.
And that talent needed to be on the client side.
It did, yeah, exactly. Or, you could farm it out, but, then you're paying every time you want to do a report. So most people got a, business objects expert or pick your platform. That has simplified so radically now. The emergence of data lakes and data cubes and drag and drop functionality is dramatically different. And it's really fun enabling the customers with that technology. It's fun to watch what they do.
So, I think a lot of people probably don't know the origin story of Mitratech. Can you share the origin story for us?
I can, yeah. So we were
I knew you could.
We're one of the first companies to, we were founded by, I think, a wife and husband pair, and in the mid 1990s. So we've been doing this for over 30 years. We were the founders, the first ones that came out with matter management. And we've grown just tremendously. It's been an amazingly fun trajectory. Since I've been with them in 6 years, we're almost 10 times the number of employees and many times the amount of revenue. And maybe 100 times the number of customers. It's really been a growth trajectory in the last few years. Really fun to be part of.
And I would imagine that as you've grown your staff, and here's what's interesting to me. One of the most interesting things, because I come from the staffing world. My first 3 businesses were executive search and staffing companies. And so I'm always interested in the diversity of talent that's coming into a marketplace. When I got started in 2004, you had a legal background, right? And you had to beg, borrow, and steal to get anybody who didn't have a legal background into the space. It wasn't easy getting IT professionals to leave Wall Street to come into legal. now it is really a destination career path, from what I'm seeing.
It definitely is. That's definitely changed my experience. I do not have a legal background, and I came in a very different type of, a much more technical background. So I was part of what you've seen, and I think that's absolutely critical. I think legal drove that. They realized, hey, we're really good at understanding risk. We're really good at, addressing a court, and we're really good at these types of things. But, we could learn some things about vendor and law firm management. We could learn, hold on, metrics might be a really good idea for us to use, and that created demand for a diverse set of talents, things that you wouldn't normally learn in law school. So it made sense to me.
Now, what was your background then? Because you did not come with a legal background.
That's correct. My degree is in chemistry, actually, originally. My first job was a polymer chemist, and then I went to Duracell. That's where I got my first patent in high-potential lithium primary cathodes. And if you want to kill a dinner conversation, that's what you bring up.
Well, or start. I can pivot on that. So, is Duracell better than Everready? What's the difference in batteries?
Of course I'm going to say Duracell's better than Everready.
Well, that's only because you've got stock,
yes.
But that's not the point. The point is we're sitting there at the checkout line. I'm at Kmart or I'm at Walmart, and I've got my battery choice, and there's $1 or $2 difference on the 8-pack. What do I go for?
I still buy Duracell batteries based on what I know from years ago. It's a really nuanced question, and I'm going to give you more information you want to know. It really depends on the test. So when battery people, whenever you ask a question about something, it's always more complicated than you think, right? So behind all the claims that we're the best, we last longer than that, is actually a very robust set of tests, and they test them to mimic what goes on in your flashlight or what goes on in whatever device the AA or the C or D is going to go into. And there's 10 or 12 tests for each type of battery, and they mimic different things. So you can adjust the battery chemistry to maximize a couple of these high drain ones, but not so much on the low drain one. So the answer to your question is more nuanced than you think, but I can honestly say I still buy Duracell.
There we go. So Duracell is the answer. Let's play time capsule. We're going to put a time capsule on the table here, and we're going to ask you for a prediction. Micro prediction and a macro prediction. A year from today, you predict X. Brian McGovern predicts that 1 year from today, here's like a micro prediction and here's a macro industry-wide prediction.
I'm going to go along with your question because my immense respect for you, but I'm going to start it with, I think only crazy people try to predict the future. So I'll take my hat off and I'll be crazy for a minute. A year from now, we'll have better ideas about how to use AI. We're going to emerge our ideas. Our thinking is going to dramatically improve. We're going to develop our vocabulary better. Europe hopefully is going to start to get a regulatory framework, which I think legal is going to absolutely need. Maybe California will start it too. And they'll develop some of the regulatory and legal frameworks. Maybe we get a couple judgments on some of these copyright infringements of the law. We have to figure out some of those things so people know what to do with the data. Can I put it in? Do I want it in? I had a bunch of meetings this week on people, and I asked them, do you want your data in a large language model? And most people don't in legal right now. They consider it part of their secret sauce.
Absolutely.
So I think in 12 months, we're gonna really think more about those things, and I think it will start to emerge some frameworks and best practices, and maybe a couple precedent would really help us to think about these things better.
So I hear you saying there's going to be a Zubalake moment, some kind of a Zubalake moment with the judges driving some kind of a decision.
Yeah, and I think
that's a great prediction. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's very analogous to what we saw with DEI information, all the reporting that people want to do with that before we had the consumer protection laws, right? And no one knew what to do until we had a framework to think about these things. So the sooner we get some of those frameworks, the risk will go down, and it's gonna be exciting for people to choose what AI to use because they can't understand the risk, and that's what we do in legal.
Well, I appreciate you taking off your seatbelt. You got one more for us?
I do. Yeah. So did you say one short one, one long one?
Yep.
Okay. Oh boy, a long-term prediction. I'm going to steal one. I think that if we stuck with AI, I'll give one for AI and one not for AI. If we stick with AI, I'd say I don't think AI are going to replace people anytime in the near future.
Fair enough.
But I do think people who understand AI, understand how to use it well, will replace people who don't.
You've been reading my blogs.
Yeah, I read it somewhere else, but yes.
So did I.
Definitely, and I think it'll continue to emerge across from that. The diversification skills we talked about before, how project management best practices, analytics best practices, hiring the best talent, and thinking about when you're hiring in legal operations and legal technology, how am I not just hiring for diversity in the typical way we talk about it, but also diversity of thought and background and experience, and bringing those in really intentionally to work together to get a better outcome.
Fantastic. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that you are extremely curious and constantly reading.
Love doing that, yes.
And so what are you reading that you might want to recommend before we cut here today?
Let's see. I'm on a Christopher Hitchens kick right now.
Okay, tell us about Christopher Hitchens.
Really interesting literary giant. He died in 2011. I unfortunately didn't discover until after he died, so bad on me. But very interested. He writes just an amazing range of topics, none of which are legal, so maybe not that useful for the podcast today. I also recommend that people do spend some time on AI. I read several books on AI over my vacation, like 6 or 7 books on my vacation this year. I definitely recommend just look in Audible, look for what's come out recently. I don't have one that I think beats the tail off of the others. You're going to need to read a few to get a good balance of opinions.
Have you read Blitzscaling or The Coming Wave? The Coming Wave.
That
was fantastic.
That was good. Yeah.
Good stuff. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Brian, thank you so much for
having me, David. This is really fun. I appreciate it.
Let's do it again.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Thank you.